The Climate Change Act is about institutionalizing a response to climate change. It sets out mitigation and adaptation actions to climate change impacts, which are seen more often now through extreme natural events like floods and prolonged droughts.
On the adaptation side, far more complex because adaptation responses reach across sectors and multiple levels of society. And that is a far more complicated melange of issues to face. The science is way less well developed, and we need to really fly the adaptation aeroplane while we're building it. And one of the ways we can do that is to learn fast from extreme events and the impacts of extreme climate events and how we recover from those. That's our first encounter with climate change consequences, is these extreme events. So the more we learn from these and the better we become adapted via this route, the better off we will be.
The Act is not just about the environment, it will also have an impact on the economy.
If you're in Gqeberha, what it means for us is that we will be transitioning, our economy will be transitioning, not just our biodiversity, but our economy transitions, because the world is responding to this. And so we produce cars here for markets that are in America and in Europe. And those markets are changing the way that they apply the rules. And one of the rules is a thing called carbon tax, and they're going to add carbon tax to any goods that come in. If we as a country don't respond to that, we will be left behind and we're not going to be able to sell our goods in that. And that means job losses for us and a whole bunch of other things. And in our city, that's critical, is that we have to get that transition correct.
There is also a tool to guide all levels of government on climate change issues, right down to municipal level, where people are directly affected by the impact of climate change.
Hence, there's now this thing called just energy transition, which requires us as a city to do things differently in terms of making sure that we comply. Also, that us complying means that we will have to now start transitioning towards what is called the just energy transition, which will have an effect. Obviously, as I've said, we are the major player in the auto industry with all that we have in our city, but what the framework we are developing will make sure that we do not lose anyone, we don't lose jobs. Also, as a city, we are in a much better place to deal with issues of climate change.
The environment is also a huge job creator, especially through the agricultural and marine industries. In this sphere, there is much excitement about the legislative developments.
It means that to us as people that we are living in the communities, we're going to have something or a tool to mitigate climate change, because all these years we were struggling a lot to challenge or to make these companies that are polluting our ocean or our air, because there was nothing that we can use.
The climate change has affected our community a lot because are benefiting from a product. Then now we are facing a challenge of a drought and also floods. Then if floods are affecting the crops, then if floods are affecting the crops, there are no nutrients, so the plants won't grow. There will be nothing to produce, so there will be no market.
The question is, how practical will this act be?
The role of universities is going to be critical in supporting the skill creation, the capacity building, the training in a wide range of climate adaptation areas to support the expertise that's needed to give the Act its implementation through multiple municipalities, provincial level and national level.
We are currently involved in building a climate resilience plan for the city. So our metro is ahead of the curve in that sense, and we have a huge amount of collaboration across all key stakeholders. So from civil society to business to the municipality to the researchers at the universities, people are coming together to say, look, this risk is real. We have to think about how we do things. We have to do things differently, and how do we do that in ways that are fair to most people? How do we prepare our city for this?
Stakeholders are aware that this act leaves them no choice but to cooperate to ensure it is successfully implemented, to ultimately ensure the country's environmental future. Sinethemba Witi, SABC News, Abeja.